until 2 years ago, my life was pretty normal. But on June 28th, 2016, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. If you don't know, scoliosis is the curvature and rotation of the spine in either an S or U shape. I remember sitting in the doctor's office on one of those tables they cover with that notoriously crinkly paper. You know, the kind that won't stop tearing. It's so annoying. I was sitting there with my parents, staring with disbelief and horror at my doctor's face as he told me that I would need to get a brace. I was horrified that this would be my burden to carry and my parents to pay. I swallowed hard and forced myself to maintain a neutral face, and they immediately sent me to be fitted. About a month later, I came back, and a specialist taught me how to wear my brace. It felt like a corset, tightened to the point where I couldn't breathe. Every breath I took was too shallow, and I couldn't move. It was a cage. As we walked back to the car, I tried not to cry as I had to reteach myself to walk so that the hard plastic wasn't biting into my hips. They told me that eventually I would build up calluses, but the blisters I got and still get now hurt and cut into my skin. Whenever I adjusted it, searing pain would shoot through the area. Skin was broken and blood would sometimes seep through. I had to retrain myself to sleep so that it didn't hurt and so that I could breathe. So that when I turned over, the hard plastic wasn't pressing into my hips and up against my spine. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present my brace. Her name is Darcy for short. She's about an inch thick and the hottest thing I've ever worn. I hated her. She kept me from being normal. She was the symbol and embodiment of all the insecurities that I had. I told no one about her but my closest friends. I wanted no one to touch me, prayed that no one would talk to me, and dreaded social interaction. I named her as a cover-up for all the problems that were going on with me. So I could say, hey, I'm gonna go put on Darcia, instead of, hey, I'm gonna go put on my brace. It was just another way I tried to pretend that I had no problems. Because in truth, I was ashamed that I was broken. I was ashamed of being different than anyone else, and I was scared. I was afraid to express how my brace was affecting me mentally because I was afraid that they would tell me that my feelings didn't matter and that they were normal. That I was lucky compared to so many others, and at least I didn't have to get surgery. It seemed that it didn't matter what I was feeling. At least I wasn't paralyzed. Sometimes I would finally gather up enough courage to tell someone about her. But as soon as I did, they would start trying to make light of the situation, making jokes that simply weren't funny. I had several friends go up to random people, dragging me along, telling them to poke my stomach, to punch me. And even though, because of my brace, I have abs of steel, it forced me to explain what was going on with me. It made me feel weak, and I hated it. So I stopped telling people. I would only tell someone it was absolutely necessary for their everyday lives. And since it most likely wasn't, I told very few people. I mean, come on. Why not surprise someone when they come to hug you with an embrace of plastic? How cuddly. So with no one to turn to, no one to listen, no outlet to express myself, I bottled it up. I could not find anyone who could understand my pain. No one could understand my story. So I pushed it down further and further so that nothing that I was feeling could be seen. So many people have an issue that is rooted in their core, that is so easy but painful to hide that no one can see it. It's an issue that eats their spirit so that they lose their motivation. And because no one knows, no one's there for them. One day, I was able to conquer my insecurities. I realized that everything was for a purpose and that my pain was temporary. I realized that my brace had shaped me to be a stronger person than I had ever imagined. And I realized that I was not alone. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has something going on that they hide from the surface and carry in their cores. Shame is a self-inflicted feeling of humiliation coming from the feeling of doing wrong. There was no reason for me to feel ashamed about something that I could not control. I realized that sometimes the things you're the most ashamed of are the things that shape you to be a better person. It's what makes you stronger and keeps you going. But other times, it just hurts, and there's no visible light. But I am here to tell you that there's always a light. There's always a way to beat shame. Accept it. Realize that your shame is what fuels you to destroy it. Your diagnosis or situation may not be your fault. You do not have to be ashamed or insecure. There is a person behind the diagnosis. There is a name behind the scars. Have confidence in who you are and who you can be. You are beautiful in a way that no one else is. You are not what they call you. You are not what they want you to be. Your shame does not define you. What you do with it is what shapes your journey, your life. The key to confidence is to find your name and stand up to your shame. Your name is not OCD. Your name isn't anorexic. It's not bipolar. It's not depressed. Your name isn't anxious. It's not messed up. It's not insecure. You have a name. My name is not scoliosis. My name is Brynn Hannon. Find your name. Let it out. There's a revolution to be won. And it starts with us, the ashamed of 2019. Thank you.